Well, good morning. We're here for our weekly Board of Commissioners meeting at Marion County. And we're here in the Commissioners Board, no, we're in the Senator hearing room. I always want to say the Commissioners Board room because we're here so often. It is January 24th, 2024. And as always, we start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'll stand and join us, we'll do that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, we don't have anybody signed up for public comment, but I'm going to put somebody on the spot. We have a guest today. Lonnie, our engineers, I believe it's your daughter is here, right? And
you have to come forward.
Galena, I'm going to ask you to come over here to this chair on the right and just introduce yourself for the record and tell us a little bit about maybe why you're here today. Yeah, just have a seat.
You know, Commissioner, she was just telling me that she has a presentation and she's a little nervous about that presentation. And here you go, put her on camera and TV.
Well, this is just practice for you.
This is just a prelude to that.
Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself for the record. And
Hi, I'm Galena. I'm in 7th grade. I go to J. Gems Middle School. Yeah, I have a presentation in a few weeks about Panama, and I'm here because we have late start, but my mom has to present, so.
Who's your mom?
Lonnie.
What does she do here, do you know?
She is the county engineer, and she helps with
She takes care of our roads.
Yeah.
Well, great. So tell, what do you at the because that's a charter school that you're attending. Tell us a little bit about what you specialize in at that charter school. You're 7th grader there, right?
Yeah. So my charter school specializes in science classes. So we have 2 science classes throughout the whole year, and we do like a special science project thing at the end of the year that some scientists come and like review and judge. So.
Okay. And you're doing a presentation on Panama in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
So is it a science project about Panama? Is it the canal?
No, that's it's not the science project. It's social studies.
Okay. Great. I haven't been to Panama. Been all around Belize, going to Costa Rica, but Panama's like right there. Oh, I guess I did. I went through the Panama Canal, but I never stepped foot in it.
I was like, hey, the Panama Canal.
Yeah, I did go through the Panama Canal many years ago. It was great. So, well, good. Anything you want to ask the commissioners while you have a chance?
Actually, don't be careful. It's public record. Do what you want. I do.
No.
Okay.
All right. Well, Galena, thank you for coming today, and this is on tape, so you can.
Great.
You can go and clip it off of YouTube somehow and put it in your presentation about Panama that you actually told the commissioners about Panama.
Yeah, or go watch it on TV because
Yeah.
it's on TV.
Oh, nice.
Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for letting me put you on the spot. Yeah, that's great. Okay, is your mom gonna present to us later today so you can?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, she's not even on the agenda.
Yeah, she is. She's the last action item.
She's filling in for Carl.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, poor Carl. Okay,
Or Lonnie, rather.
so we have nobody else signed up for public comment. Would anybody like me to call them up and just put them on the spot this morning? Okay. Bill, you good? Anything you want to say from the Statesman Journal? Okay. All right, so we'll move the consent calendar.
All right, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent calendar under Board of Commissioners. The one and only item today, Board Committee appointments for the Justice Reinvestment Council. Approve an order appointing Deborah Wells to the Marion County Justice Reinvestment Council with a term ending December 31st, 2024.
I will second the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. One of 2 action items today. The first action item under Community Services. Steve, you're here. Consider approval of subrecipient agreement with Brothers of Valor, Inc. mentoring in the amount of $225,000 to assist in additional expenses incurred for the expansion of the Valor Mentoring Program that benefits youth in Marion County retroactive to July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2028. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Steve Dickey with Marion County Community Services. This morning we're bringing to you the sub-recipient agreement with Brothers of Valor Incorporated. As stated, this is to support an expansion of the Valor Mentoring Program that they work with youth in our area. In this program, they were able to obtain a new facility, an additional facility that is near McNary High School, and with that be able to expand their services in helping young people, many of whom are either homeless or at risk of becoming homeless, which makes this project eligible for the Home American Recovery Plan funds. This will continue to support their program as they get this expansion established. And Tim Davis is here today, so if you had any questions about the program in depth, he would be able to respond to those.
You want to?
Oh, I sure do.
Tim, would you like to come on over and share a little bit? And you just witnessed how to do this by
Yeah, she set the bar pretty high.
Expert.
So,
yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
have at it.
Yeah, so we're a youth mentoring organization, 5th grade and up. We did 20,000 hours.
Did you introduce yourself? for
Oh,
the
I'm sorry,
record?
Tim Davis.
See, she did that.
Sorry. Again, the bar's high. Yeah. So Tim Davis, Brothers of Valor Inc. We operate as Valor Mentoring. It's easier to understand as a DBA. But yeah, so we did 20,000 hours of mentoring just in Marion County to young people last year, and we're charted to do 100,000 hours this year. And part of that is some of the money that you guys are potentially giving to us to expand. So we acquired the Kaiser Grange, which is a 5,000 square foot facility, 250 yards from the front door of McNary High School. So we'll launch after-school programs. Hopefully, ribbon cutting is on the 13th, so we'll finalize that and get it out to you guys as an invite. Should know by Friday on after we clear one more flooring issue. So, yeah, but it's just about ready to go. And then obviously, it's such a close venue for McNary. We already partner quite a bit with them, so we'll be running programs there 7 days a week after school. We tend to serve about 200 to 500 kids a week with our after-school programs with that facility. So, yeah.
Yeah, so can you, when I was first introduced to Valor Mentoring years ago, it was a program that specifically only focused on male youth.
Right.
Can you talk about the expansion of female youth and what the new rec center is really going to be doing and how kids come and go? It's super important to me that these funds serve any kid that has a need.
Yep.
I'd really like for you to elaborate on
Sure,
that.
yeah. So originally it was one-on-one male mentoring as we started, and then we still is a focus of ours to provide fatherless, involvement for males, but we also provide one-on-one stuff for females. But about 80-something% of the people, young people who are a part of our organization to get mentored is available to everybody. So we have a video production studio, an audio production studio, live stage. We've got all of our after-school programming and camps is all co-ed. It's all available to anyone, and they're all free. So it's something else unique. We consider our facilities to be public access community centers as opposed to just a bowling alley or just a coffee shop or whatever. And so that's the model that we want to run with. We also don't pay our mentors, so I don't think that's a scalable model either. So we've continued to double in size every year, and I don't expect 24 to be any different. So yeah. Yeah, we provide all the way to employment opportunities for young people, training, video and audio production, esports. We have partnerships now with a few of the universities. We're going to be providing some college scholarships available even through esports and other things. We'll be running those multiple times a week. And we'll take that to another level. If you could think of like NBA or any other sport, there's more people watched a single video game championship than the NBA playoffs and the World Series combined. One video game, and so we understand the inherent risks of maybe kids getting addicted to video games, right? But there's 8 billion people on the planet and 3 billion people play video games. And so we're using that as a tool both to engage young people in things they enjoy doing already, but we're taking that to an educational level where we're going to be filming, so there'll be young people doing video production of the competitions, color commentators, journalists and bloggers talking about the competitions and stuff. So it gives them real opportunities towards education. So, yeah.
And the funds that we're offering today are for capital investment, not operational investment. Is that right?
No, it's
for
the other way around.
facility?
It's operational.
It's operational?
Yes.
328.
Yeah, so that'll help us in adding some staffing for the.
That's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
for staffing, and there's availability for some additional equipment that we'll need in the facility. So,
Well, I look forward to the facility opening.
yeah, just a few weeks away. We're excited,
Good.
and all that's been done debt free. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to clarify, the contract is for $225 for 5 years, so it'd be basically $25,000 a year to help with staffing.
Gotcha.
Towards that, yeah. Is that good? Good. Commissioner, any questions?
No, I think you do good
Good
work.
work, yeah.
Thanks
Yeah.
for helping those kids.
Absolutely.
Wish we had it right outside of every high school.
That's it.
Well,
The other
stay
thing-
tuned.
Yeah. Tim, the other one was, you mentioned employment opportunities. Are you connected up with the wage, connect employers up with
Yeah,
yourself
we-
as well as other employers with our wage reimbursement program? Are you?
I'm
wage
familiar
rate.
with Workforce Oregon. We've partnered with them on some of that stuff, so I'd love to maybe connect on some information about that.
Maybe connect up with our community services with Kelly, and she can direct you, because we do, I think we upped it to 100,000 this year, didn't we? Whatever the
I
number is.
wasn't in the meeting.
But
Last
it's-
year it was
but it's a-
80,000, but either way, I'm happy to put more money in the
It's a
bank.
$5 wage reimbursement to employers
Oh.
that hire 14, 15, 16, and 17-year-olds if they haven't worked before.
Yeah, we did 8 of those this year. We gave 8 first-time jobs to teenagers this last year. So did a little bit through Workforce Oregon, and then some we just do on our own. So, yeah.
Anyways, just making sure that, and then when you're connecting them up with other employers, because that's what you're
Absolutely.
doing, make sure those employers know about that program. So,
Okay.
good.
Awesome.
There's nothing better than young people getting a job
And paying
starting to
taxes
save a
and
little
voting
money.
and, that's a different meeting.
I'll start buying.
Yes, all of that, but later.
All right.
Commissioner
We
Wilson?
don't just see people as taxpayers in this body.
No, I understand.
We see them as
Well,
valuable members of our community.
Until-
Paying taxes is just one part of it, one small part of what we all do.
I don't see a youth as a taxpayer because all their taxes are going to the capital. Until they buy a house, then
There you go, now
they're
you're talking.
contributing
That's right.
to Marion County.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to put that on teenagers, right? But that's part of what we want to do. We want to build vibrant people in the community, right?
It's fantastic.
So, yeah.
Do good work. Okay, well, I guess we could take a
Is it
motion.
my motion? Since I was playing hooky earlier. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the subrecipient agreement with Brothers of Valor Incorporated, Valor Mentoring, in the amount of $225,000 to assist with additional expenses incurred for expansion of the Valor Mentoring program that benefits youth in Marion County, retroactive to July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2028.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Tim, for the good work you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you.
I would ask for unanimous consent to return and allow Commissioner Willis to vote on the consent calendar.
I support that.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Willis votes aye. Okay, our next action item is under Public Works. And Lonnie is here. Consider approval of personnel services contract for non-architectural engineering planning services for DKS Associates in the amount of $279,999.95 for the development of rural transportation system plan through July 31st, 2026. Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners, Jane and Brenda. For the record, Lonnie Radke, Marion County Public Works. First, I'd like to thank you for including my daughter in today's board session. It was really fun. I appreciate it. Second, yes, we're here today for the approval of this contract with DKS Associates, a traffic engineering and planning consultant who will be working on our rural transportation system plan, a plan that is critical for us in identifying projects in our infrastructure projects on our roads as we move ahead into the future. It helps us identify our needs and identify the projects to meet those needs and then prioritize those projects. And it helps us, it's our framework on how we're going to grow and enhance our network. And it also helps us when grant opportunities present themselves that we already know what our priorities are. So we have a grant that we received from ODOT, from the TGM, the Transportation Growth Management Program, for about the same amount of money, and we're putting it toward a consultant to do this. It'll be a 1.5 year long process.
Questions?
No.
This is the
I've already
world.
belabored the crap out of this with staff, and I really appreciate all your time to.
And we have a lot of fun ahead of us, and you know that. We've got some public outreach. We will have a project management team that's more of the technical staff from agencies, and then we'll have stakeholders that will be coming to talk to you about who we want to have on that stakeholder team. And so we'll have up to 3 meetings with the stakeholders, and then a couple of open houses for the public as well.
I guess I take that back.
Yeah.
One of the component that has concerned me the most about everything I do as a commissioner is how to actually engage the stakeholders, the citizens that live in our community, so they understand what we're doing and or what we're being forced to do in some cases. And while studying things and planning things strategically makes total sense to me, I am concerned about some of the state level policy decisions that are forcing communities like ours, specifically in the unincorporated area of Marion County and East Salem, around densification and the state's choice on removing driveways for people who would have cars and creating congestion, in my opinion, in communities of poverty or low income or whatever that also don't adequately have public transportation access. So this study is to bring people's voices to the table to discuss what we want our system to look like. And I know that we are doing 3 outreach things. We're doing website things, we're doing mailer things, but it'd be great if the media and others could really give a factual presentation of what we're doing and when we're doing it, so folks who live in this community who we serve can really try to understand and participate and guide that process. I think one of the things too that's important to say is that I'm pro pedestrian transportation. I'm pro safety in transportation. I support bike lanes, I support sidewalks, but I also support livability factors. And we have to figure out how to balance all of that through this process. And it requires the folks who have not been invited to the table before to be invited to the table and to help educate them. And that's what the consultant is for, in my opinion, is to really work hard to draft a plan, but to communicate effectively is to the best of our ability. I really do appreciate, Lonnie, the time that you and Carl spent with me personally, trying to get me to, positively support this. And I know it's going to be a long process.
Yeah, and this, just to note, this is the rural transportation program, so this is everything outside the urban growth boundary that we're dealing with the other issues that we've been talking about.
Correct.
So this one had, if you read the old one, this one had a trail from Woodburn. I remember this because when Sam gave me transportation, I started digging into this. The old rural transportation plan had things in it, I think the trail up the canyon was even in it. But there was an example of a bike walking path from Woodburn to Hubbard or something like that in that.
We have a bike and ped plan, and
it
so
was
yeah, and
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to identify, you just hit something that I should have commented on. Our previous TSP is actually from 2005.
Right.
So we're long overdue in needing to do this. And yes, this is the rural TSP, which is completely outside of the UGBs. So when you're referring to the state regulation for CFEC, the climate-friendly equitable communities that we've been spending a lot of time on, that is not a part of this. It is very much separate.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
But it is very much worth noting how much work Carl Lund especially and Austin Barnes and Brandon Reich we're all putting into this executive order and everything that follows it. So it is separate from this, but there is a big effort, and remaining at the table, as we've told you, is a critical piece of it, so we can make sure we're letting you know what's being done and we can stand firm on what we don't agree with.
And I think, Commissioner, your points are really well taken on this plan, because we got to reach out to those.
Yes.
And I always think of this, you know, we have 20 incorporated cities. You take out the top 4 or 5 big ones, and all these little cities are impacted by this particular plan. So it's really important that we are reaching out to that community as we build this new plan.
I mean, the topic that comes to mind is state and roundabouts. I mean, we've had this debate as commissioners in our commissioners' boardroom upstairs on the 5th floor plenty of times. I don't know how I feel about that, but I think the ag community has an opinion on that. I think people who drive big trucks have an opinion on that. I want those folks to be at the table to understand the science behind the proposed concepts, whether it's in Staten or Aurora or wherever, and this consultant is going to hopefully invite them.
And the Staten roundabout that is being proposed is actually in the city of Staten's
That's right.
UGB, but completely noted, we will be including agricultural and freight representation in the stakeholders. Completely hear that loud and clear, and we'll continue having conversations to ensure you're good with the list of stakeholders we develop.
I just commented that our road connects up to that. I mean, we come up right up to it. Almost.
Actually,
They are our county roads.
there are roads
in
both
the
of them.
city.
I drive them every day.
Yeah.
Colin will tell you about these roads.
Speaking of which, and the only reason is because we still have 5 minutes
Yeah.
before we can even open our public hearing, so we can talk about this. But I drove from, I got all messed up on my flight. I had to, I flew out of Eugene and ended up having to fly back to Portland, rent a car, drive to Eugene to get my car, drop it off. And I drove back through Jefferson and Marion, and we had 2 of our guys out there in the rain using, what I guess, dry patch in the rain. That road was, I think this weather really hammered that road out of Marion to Staten. Oh my gosh, I was dodging big chunks.
Were they on our roads or the highway?
Okay. It was our road, yeah.
I know that we've been spending a lot of time out there. This is what happens, and I know it's
Yeah.
not specific to our roads because I know the city of Salem's have. I mean, it's just
I
what
always
happens.
think our
with-
roads are in great shape, and that day I drove it and I went, oh my gosh, this weather must have really.
It hasn't been that way. I drive that road often, and it hasn't. We've not had these like craters until very recently, and I do believe it's because of the ice impacts on the alligatoring that existed
Yeah.
before.
Yes, yes.
So, Mr. Chair, one thing I want to add to this conversation, because I'm not sure everybody understands. One of the things that frustrates me in this job is, a lot of things frustrate me, but one of the things that frustrates me is that a lot of times you'll hear in the media or folks at the state will talk about county decision-making. And one of the things that's frustrating is the state actually makes many of the decisions that look like our decisions. And I think transportation is an area like this where the state gives us, if we didn't have money from the state, it would be very hard for us to do our job, to maintain our roads, to improve things. But they put a bunch of strings on that money. So they're really sort of, and they have different maybe ideas about what should get funded and shouldn't get funded. And I think this goes to what you were saying, Commissioner Bethel, where as a result, you can have inequities in your community and how those road dollars are allocated. And your constituents look to you, the commissioners, and say, hey, like, what are you doing? Why aren't you taking care of us, right? And what they don't know is the state often has rules that don't allow us to allocate that money to that need. And it's very hard for us to advocate. So that's part of the frustration. This is why a lot of the things that you talked about are relevant to this plan, even though the roundabout in Staten may not be a part of this plan, or the CFEC rules that affect East Salem may not be a part of this plan. It's the same general way that the state interacts with the counties, which is they make these rules, they tell you what you have to do, it hurts your community. You say, hey, don't hurt my community, and they're like, well, do you want the money or not? And I would say that is something that we live with every day, and it's a part of our job to advocate to the state. And sometimes, like we almost did with some of our behavioral health money, to walk away if what they're going to do is actually going to harm the people that we serve. And so I do think that at a high level, this plan is our opportunity to give some input to the state. That if projects are not in this plan, my understanding is we can't apply for money from the state to fund these projects. And so this is basically the way that we advocate for projects in the rural areas.
Generally speaking, most of our grants that we apply for, you need to have the project be part of a plan, and this is the most common place that they would be identified. And this is your opportunity. Hopefully, we won't have the TSP, the next TSP won't be another 20 years before we develop it, but this is your opportunity to really be part of identifying those needs and projects. So,
And when you say you, we mean the community.
That's true. That's true.
I have an opinion. We all do. But there's 350,000 people in this
Yes.
county. Obviously, this is unincorporated outside the UGB, but there's a lot of people out there this impacts.
Yes.
I mean, I was talking to a mayor on the east side of the county recently who said, I don't know that I really want to see a pedestrian bike path go from Woodburn to Detroit. And I said, I didn't know there was one designed. And apparently there's some discussions about that. And it was news to me. It's at the local level, and apparently there's a group that's facilitating that. I knew that there was a process at some point elsewhere, but
It's the pickup of the rail to trail from Woodburn down through Almsville. That has been
like through Silverton to Almsville
yeah,
and to Detroit.
that rail line that is not being used. People want to turn that into, and our agricultural people fight that tooth and nail, because can you imagine somebody out on their bicycle while somebody's spraying their field, and it's somebody's dream.
Sure.
But
There is a project that the City of Woodburn just got funded through the Community Paths Grant Program. That would be a multi-use path coming from the City of Woodburn down, but it's nowhere near as big as what you're discussing there. It's just a small piece. And so I'm actually not familiar with the full plan that you're referring to, but we can certainly look into that and provide an update, a management update, if we have things to share.
Lonnie, because I have you here, I know we have a way that we rotate our maintenance, and I know we have a lot of roads right now that are hurting. I did get a complaint the other day on Monitor McKee Road.
Okay.
I don't know when the last time was that we resurfaced that or did some
Okay.
work on it, so I
Do you
know
know
this is like not
yeah.
the setting that I normally
That's okay.
relay these constituent
okay.
concerns, but it just popped into my head. It's like, oh shoot, I said I was gonna reach out to you.
I'm gonna reach back out to you and see if you know specifically where, so we can go out and take a look and see what we can do. There might be some repair we can do more quickly than waiting for the resurfacing.
do you have multiple twins of you that go out?
Got better,
Well,
better people out there.
I think we've discussed this. We're right up to the 9:30. I would take a motion to approve
Thanks,
this
Lonnie,
contract.
for letting us drag this out for
Yeah.
7 minutes to get
No,
to
I
public
love it.
hearing.
I love it.
I move to approve the personnel services contract for non-architecture and engineering planning services with DKS Associates, Inc. in the amount of $279,999.95 for the development of the Rural Transportation System Plan update through July 31st, 2026.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day, Galena.
Okay. I'm going to open a public hearing. It is 9:30. This public hearing is to consider an adjustment of the solid waste collection rates for franchise haulers within unincorporated areas of Marion County. And Dennis and Brian are here, and we will turn it over to you. Who's going first?
I think it's me. Sorry as I fire up our little PowerPoint. So good morning, everybody. For the record, Brian May, Marion County Public Works Environmental Services Division Manager. I want to start out with if this feels kind of like a deja vu that we've talked about COSA, we did, and we did this just recently on December 6th. And a little background there for you is the COSA process, the cost of service analysis process, is basically almost a year-long process that culminates in the public hearing. And at that point, that's where you commissioners approve the rate structure through the public hearing, and that all gets transferred to this nice, very detailed 300+ different rates exhibit. And that brings me to why I'm here today. We got it all the way to that point, and we ended up with 3 clerical errors that were found over the holidays. We reached out to legal counsel and said, hey, clerical error, can we just make a little whiteout, fix, and address? Our solid waste code is very clear that says, no, we are not allowed to do that. We have to bring it back to the board through a public hearing and address these and correct them in that manner. So that's what brings me here today. So what we're specifically addressing is 3 clerical error rates. One for the rural 65-gallon cart, where again, this was kind of one of those fun little Excel sheets where the formula didn't catch the correct increase that was approved in December 6th. And the next one, other 2, is in our rural and sparse for our 2-yard container, where this was just not, again, reflected the correct increase that was approved on December 6th. And again, apologize profusely for having to bring this back to your attention in such a manner. Any questions?
Just don't ever use an Excel spreadsheet that I designed.
You keep saying that like you actually designed this spreadsheet. Do you even know how to design a spreadsheet, Commissioner?
Well, I
I'd be
used
way
to.
more nervous
I
if I
tried to
actually
do
thought
an
that was
at
true.
sum the other day, and I couldn't find it on the new Excel. It's like, I used to do them all the time, but they changed that stuff.
I bet the updated version of Excel would really blow your socks off. Pretty much does it for you, except for when you don't pull the little corner down all the way.
Correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have any questions.
So I have smart people around me. Dennis, you want to add anything? Okay. We have nobody signed up to testify in support or opposing, so any comments, commissioners?
Maybe just a clarification. So the issue is that we approved the rates, but the actual document that we signed basically said that we approved the attached schedule of rates. Is that the issue?
So my understanding is that the published rates were incorrect and they were lower than what was
Jane.
actually approved. So my understanding is that what the board approved before, the rates were lower than actually what
Was
they're
it-
seeking. And so in order to give the public the ability to weigh in on the higher rates on these 3 categories, per the terms of the COSA, we recommended that they come back to the board so the public would have notice of these 3 additional increased rates.
Sorry, but that didn't really answer my question. But my understanding is that when we did this before, we agreed to a percentage increase.
Yes.
But that percentage increase was not reflected in the rates that were published. Is
That
that
is
correct?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because
is my
that percentage,
understanding.
because when I designed the Excel spreadsheet, I didn't draw that formula all the way over to that last place. So it
Got it.
didn't calculate that rate correctly on the spreadsheet. However, the percentage was on the spreadsheet.
Correctly.
So we're not making a policy change here?
Not at all.
This is just a clerical
Yeah.
update. Okay.
And just for the record, I did not design the spreadsheet. I just know that if I had, it would have been my fault.
We definitely have measures in next year to make sure that we don't do this again.
Well, I know somebody that's sitting here with you today that does a lot of spreadsheets and over the years has done great work. And I really appreciate all the numbers you run, Dennis, all the time for all of us. So it's really,
Thank you, Commissioner.
really unique in that we find ourselves in this situation. So good. Okay, well, I would take, you know what, I'm gonna close, I'm gonna close the public hearing, and I will take a motion.
What is the motion here?
It's on the back
Back
page of your agenda.
In fact,
Okay.
if you wanna make it,
Me?
it doesn't matter to me, whoever wants to make it.
Are we gonna have to come back if I make this? Okay, this is the right motion to make?
Mhm.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve an order to approve an adjustment to the solid waste collection rates for the franchise haulers within the unincorporated areas of Marion County, as referenced in Exhibit A.
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that action item is done.
Thank you,
gentlemen.
Commissioners. Thank you very much.
All right, so we're going to recess our, no, I'm not gonna close the board session yet, because we're still gonna talk. But we will come back at 10 o'clock for a Marion County Housing Authority meeting, public hearing for the Marion County Housing Authority at 10 a.m. It was noticed to be at 10 or after board session, whichever happened.
First.
No, it doesn't say first. It says
It says, or immediately following the Marion County Board of Session. Oh,
if
if after 10.
a.m. So we can't start that public
Oh,
hearing until 10,
shoot.
10 a.m. So anything you want to talk about while we're
Sure.
doing signatures?
I can fill the time. This weekend was a busy weekend for me. On Friday, I went to the Safe Agri Banquet and spent time with like 500 of our closest friends of the farm community. Larry George from George Packing Company was the keynote speaker, and he came and gave probably a 20 or 30-minute presentation on the state of the economy and industry internationally and nationally for hazelnuts, which is what I call them. But what I learned in that discussion, I know some people call them filberts, except for it's a filbert tree that grows hazelnuts. Anyway, they did a study a few years ago because there was some confusion in the market from consumers around the nut itself. Like, I grew up just calling them hazelnuts. So he has two websites, filbert.com and a hazelnut.com that has the exact same information that feeds the emotional mindset of the consumer. And anyway, he went through this PowerPoint presentation of kind of the life cycle of it in all the countries that sell hazelnuts. And because I live in Oregon, I grew up in Oregon, and just about every farm road I've ever gone down in Marion County specifically, I have seen massive amounts of acreage of filbert trees. But we're only I think it was 17% of the entire international market of hazelnuts. I was very surprised about that. I want to say it's Denmark, but I am sure. Turkey, thank you.
Turkey's the number one.
Yeah, it's the number one exporter. Who knew? And so then there was a gal sitting at the table next to me who's from the UK, and she was saying that when you go into the markets there, everything is like hazelnuts. Here it's like such a specialty. Like if you go to Easy Orchards, they're packaged nicely and whatever, except for I don't do that. I just get buckets of them from my neighbors, and I have to shell them myself and then roast them myself. But
Nutella. Nutella.
I don't like Nutella. There was a running joke all night because there was hazelnut butter in two forms on the table, and people were talking about nut butters all night. It was a very interesting evening of hanging out with folks from across the region.
When I was a little kid, we went and visited family in Ireland, and at that time, the folks that we visited with didn't know what peanut butter was. It wasn't a thing, and but they had Nutella. So hazelnuts in Europe is a big deal. Yeah.
It's a big deal here. People love it. I can't say that I do, but I eat hazelnuts every single day. Anyway, that was fun. And then on Saturday, I was able to attend the Kaiser First Citizens banquet.
Oh, who's the Kaiser's first citizen?
Kevin Dial.
Hey, that's great.
And for the world that doesn't know him, you're missing out because he is an Uber volunteer. He has been instrumental in a significant amount of the wildfire recovery in the Santiam Canyon, and he works for the United Way, the Good 360 program. And he's got a phenomenal story. But what I really want to share about that is a couple years back, the Chamber of Commerce decided to honor a former citizen who's since passed, Dennis Coho, and they created the Dennis Coho Future First Citizen Award for youth senior age youth in high school. It's a scholarship program, and they have to qualify kind of based on the lifestyle of standards that Dennis lived, which was very much community service focused. And the winner this year is Bailey Lawyer, the daughter of Matt Lawyer, the senior policy analyst in the board's office. And her speech, everybody should watch. Every adult should listen to her speech. It was deeply touching and so wise and insightful. And she's 17. She gave me hope in the world listening to her speak about her heart for service and the work that she's done in the community, but what she hopes to accomplish. And just as a fun fact, the sheriff attended, as did Chief Copeland from the city of Kaiser. And Bailey currently attends the law enforcement CTE program for Salem Kaiser schools. And the sheriff popped right out of his seat as soon as she came off the stage and ran over to her and gave her his business card to beat Andrew Copeland out of hiring her when she's ready. And she's pursuing law enforcement as a career. So I foresee her being a future sheriff in Oregon, hopefully Marion County someday. And I anticipate we'll see her some because I want her to come and hang out over here and do a ride along. It was great. It was a good weekend.
Wonderful.
Anything else?
No, I think we should recess or adjourn or whatever.
Well,
the
we're
next
gonna
thing is.
adjourn the board session, and we'll come back at 10 o'clock for the public hearing for Marion County Housing Authority. So we will adjourn.
Sorry, I missed your question.